Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Bride of Dracula. The Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire Lord in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Why is it so hard for black men like myself to find full-time employment? Some people will say it's due to a lack of skills. Some people will say it's due to a lack of experience. Others will say it's due to a lack of education. Well, as an individual with a college degree, over 20 years of writing and publishing experience, and skills such as a CompTIA A+ certification, I have struggled over the last 8 years to find full-time employment, and I believe myself and many other black men are struggling to find full-time employment or keep full-time employment because many fear the directions of the dollars in the black community changing if black men were to get more full-time employment. Because as it stands right now, the direction of the black dollar is going outside of the black community, and it's primarily going outside the black community because many of these employers pretty much hire black women, and because they hire black women, they pretty much go out and spend their money with Arabs, Asians, Indians, whites, and other non-whites, and that means 97% of those dollars pretty much go outside of the black community and never return. So it pretty much benefits a large group of people if black females are more employed than if black men were employed. Because if black men were employed, we would pretty much see a complete paradigm shift in the black economy. And if we were to see that paradigm shift in the black economy, it would pretty much upend the way that whites, non-blacks, and other groups such as Arabs, Asians, and Indians pretty much make their money. So they pretty much need this black female employed full-time in their jobs. And they don't want black men on the job because they understand that if this black man were to come into economic power, it would pretty much change the way people spend money. And one of the things that I believe that many people fear is that if this black man were to be employed en masse, like myself, if we were to be employed en masse, that it would pretty much lead to that type of economic paradigm shift. Because as it relates to men are primarily creators. Men are builders. And they will take their money and their economic resources and they will use them towards building. That means they will be using them towards paying for things like down payments on homes, towards building long-term wealth, and they will be using them towards entrepreneurial ventures like starting small businesses. So if you pretty much take the capital out of the black man's hands, you won't have any black dollars used towards building any sort of business structures in America. So that's one of the core reasons why most companies say that they can kill two birds with one stone by hiring a female and a minority, because that pretty much ensures that that company is going to stay alive, because that female is going to pretty much spend her money differently than a man would. Now, when it comes down to black women, they are primarily consumers, and once they get money, they use their money primarily for consumption. And that's due to their nature, because their nature is towards taking care of the home and taking care of the children. So their money primarily, that's why 97% of their money goes outside of the economy into non-black, white, and foreign hands, because they are primarily consumers. So they don't want those black dollars going in the hands of black men. They want to keep that money pretty much contained in the hands of black women. Now, they will let a handful of black men get jobs here and there, but these will be primarily dysfunctional black men like simps and manginas and other dysfunctional males, because, again, they know that the flow of the dollar is not going to stay in the community. It's pretty much going to go outside of the community. And if you put the money in the hands of a simp, he's pretty much going to go buying rims, tires, expensive cars, expensive sneakers, and 97% of his dollars are pretty much going to go outside of the community. Same thing with the mangina, and the same thing with the coon. Most of their money is going to be blown, and none of it is going to be invested in the community. It's all going to go out, and none of it's going to stay in. But if you start hiring responsible, conscientious, working class black men, guess what's going to happen? That means those trips to those Korean nail salons are going to be cut in half. That 10% off the top to that black pastor is pretty much going to be cut off completely. And much of this money that's spent in these foreign stores, that money is pretty much going to be cut. Because when it comes down to men, men spend money differently. When it comes down to men, men are all about spending money towards investment. And when they spend money, they're looking to get a return on the investment. So that's one of the reasons why many don't want to see black men in jobs. Now, the surface argument would be, oh, we don't want this black man here because he's lazy, he's unprofessional, he doesn't try hard, or he's got an attitude, or he's an angry black man. But the foundation for all those straw man arguments is this: no one wants black men to have economic power, because they fear if black men get economic power, they are going to start building in their black community, and then they're going to want to have a say in their black community as they take their economic power and then turn it into political power. Because the more dollars that stay in the community means that the people start having a say of what goes on in that community. And the cabal of people who are pretty much making a bunch of money at the expense of the black woman, they don't want black men coming to the table and having a say over things such as what's going on in their schools, what's going on with their roads, what's going on with their libraries, what's going on in their community. They don't want black men saying anything about these things. They just want to continue maintaining the easy flow of government dollars, block grant dollars, and other dollars that they get, because the black woman isn't going to say anything about these things. She's just going to go on a spending spree with the small change given to her by employers, while they make millions more at her expense. But if black men come back in the community, they are going to want to have more of a say of what goes on in the community. They're going to ask for better quality services in the community, and they're going to demand better. They're going to want to raise the standard in their community, the quality of life in their community, and they're going to demand better in their community. And that's one of the things that many people fear about black men like myself having control of dollars in the community. They fear that we're going to take our black dollars and then use them to build up our own black community, build up our infrastructure, and then to make demands over how the dollars are spent in our community. And this is what many people fear. And they fear a large group of black men having money because, again, economic power leads to political power. So keeping black men unemployed keeps the black community oppressed. As long as the black woman has got money and a few simps and coons have money, nobody has a problem, because the flow of dollars is not changing. Because the flow of dollars is pretty much still going 97% to foreign people, white people, and non-black people. And they're taking black dollars out of the black community and enriching themselves at the expense of the black woman. And your black pastor pretty much goes along with this, because he also enriches himself with a 10% right off the top of the black female's dollar. So keeping black dollars out of a black man's hands is a form of economic oppression, but no one wants to talk about that because it doesn't fit the narrative of either the conservative or the liberal, because that pretty much prevents them from having a flow of dollars coming to them. And keeping dollars out of the black man's hands is something that everyone wants to do, because everyone fears the power of a black man's dollar. The power of a black man's dollar has more impact than anyone out there, and this is why it's so hard for a black man like myself to find full-time employment. Most people don't want to hire black men because they know that a black man on the job pretty much means a loss for their businesses. They know that this man is pretty much going to do things like save his money. That means that this man is going to invest his money, and this man is going to build with his money. And they don't want to see anybody saving, investing, or building in the black community. What they want to see you do is be a consumer. If you're one of these guys sitting here talking about buying new Nike Air Jordan sneakers every 3 months, no one has a problem with you. If you're sitting here talking about buying an Xbox and playing video games, no one has a problem with you. If you're talking about buying expensive jeans and sneakers, no one has a problem with you. If you're talking about buying a cell phone, no one has a problem with you. But if you're talking about buying laptops to start businesses with, if you're starting to talk about developing a business plan, if you're starting to talk about doing things like I do, like going out and trying to publish books, or you're talking about you want to save up some money to do a show like a Circle of Sisters or a book fair, that's when people have a problem with you. And the reason why they have a problem with you is because you're going to compete with them and they don't want any competition. Black men represent competition to whites and non-blacks as it relates to the business world, and they want to pretty much crush the competition in the black community. That's why there's so much of an effort to emasculate black men and pretty much keep them out of the economic infrastructure, because people fear that if the black man comes back to the infrastructure and he has something to say, he's going to tell people to take their dollars out of these white, non-black, and foreign businesses and put them back in his own community towards educating his own children and enriching his own community. If you like what you see on this channel, you can donate to my Patreon and help me out by donating $1 or more by clicking a link to the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct titles, you may do so by clicking a link to the Amazon.com in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.